On the morning of August 6, 1945, an atomic bomb detonated less than 2,000 feet above this city. Within seconds, everything within a mile and a half was flattened, burned, or gone. Scientists who studied the site afterward went on record with a prediction. Nothing would grow here again for at least 75 years. They were wrong. By about 74 years and 11 months. To understand why anyone thought life here was over, you have to understand what actually happened. The bomb detonated with a blast wave that reached several thousand degrees Celsius at the point of impact, hot enough to vaporize stone. Everything organic within half a mile was incinerated instantly. Buildings within a mile and a quarter were reduced to rubble or ash. The firestorms that followed burned for days. Modern estimates put the death toll in Hiroshima alone somewhere between 70,000 and 140,000 people by the end of that year. A number historians still can't pin down exactly, because so many records were destroyed along with the city itself. In the weeks after, American and Japanese scientists surveyed the wreckage and concluded that the combination of heat, radiation, and scorched soil meant the area was effectively dead ground. Some estimates given at the time suggested Hiroshima would be uninhabitable, let alone plantable, for 3/4 of a century. Which makes what happened at a spot called Motomachi, on the bank of the Ota River, hard to explain. There stood a weeping willow, just 370 meters, a little over a quarter mile, from the hypocenter. Closer to the blast than almost anything else that survived. The tree was knocked flat by the shockwave. 40 meters further out stood a kurogane holly. It didn't just fall, it burned down to a blackened stump. For 4 years, it showed no sign of life at all. By every expert prediction on record, both of these trees should have been permanently gone. Then came spring, 1946. Less than a year after the bombing, residents picking through the ruins started noticing something scientists hadn't accounted for: green shoots, pushing up from blackened trunks and roots that were supposed to be dead. The willow at Motomachi was one of the first. New buds broke from its fallen roots, even though the tree itself had toppled. Botanists with almost no resources or equipment started walking the wreckage, tagging any tree showing signs of life. It wasn't a funded research project. It was a handful of people with chalk and string marking survivors before anyone could clear the debris and lose track of them. The kurogane holly took longer. For 4 full years it sat as a dead stump. Then in 1949 it sprouted. Whatever was left alive underground had simply been waiting. Over the following years, more turned up, and the list kept growing stranger. A ginkgo near a shrine, less than a kilometer from the hypocenter, scorched on one side and green on the other, standing today as one of the most photographed hibakujumoku in the city. A camphor tree that lost every branch and grew an entirely new crown from scratch. A persimmon tree that somehow kept fruiting the following autumn. Camellias, oleander, fig, eucalyptus. Species with almost nothing in common except that they'd all been standing in the one place on Earth scientists were certain was finished. The Japanese gave them a name: hibakujumoku, bombed trees. Today, the count stands at 170 confirmed survivors within a 2-kilometer radius of the hypocenter, spanning 32 different species, each one cataloged and marked with a small plaque in Japanese, English, and Latin, listing its distance from the hypocenter down to the meter. So why trees, and not much else? Part of the answer is biological, not miraculous. Many tree species carry dormant buds sealed beneath their bark, a backup system built for exactly this kind of catastrophe. If the crown is destroyed by fire, storm, or disease, those buds can activate and regrow an entire tree from what looks like a dead stump. It's called epicormic sprouting, and it evolved over millions of years to survive wildfires and storm damage. Not nuclear weapons, but the mechanism didn't know the difference. It's the same basic survival trick that lets a redwood regrow its canopy after a wildfire scorches it black. The other part of the answer is simpler: roots. A tree's root system can extend many feet underground, insulated from surface heat by soil that conducts thermal energy far more slowly than air. The blast that vaporized everything above ground barely touched what was buried beneath it. Botanists and geneticists have studied the hibakujumoku ever since, looking for mutations or unusual resilience traits passed down through their seeds. And while the science on that is still being worked out, the trees themselves have never stopped being tested. Every seedling grown from their seeds is, in a sense, still part of the experiment. None of that makes the outcome less remarkable. It just means these trees weren't lucky bystanders. They survived because trees, as a category of living thing, come preloaded with some of the most stubborn recovery systems in nature. Hiroshima didn't get an exception to the rules of biology. It got a demonstration of them. In 2011, a small initiative called Green Legacy Hiroshima was founded by Nasreen Azimi, then director of the Hiroshima office of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, to do something deliberate with these trees, collect their seeds and cuttings, and send them out into the world, not as souvenirs, as living transplants. Today, descendants of the hibakujumoku are growing at 146 partner institutions across 41 countries, schools, botanical gardens, and peace memorials from Europe to North America to Southeast Asia are now home to second-generation trees whose parents stood within a mile of a nuclear detonation and kept growing anyway. Oregon, in the United States, now holds the densest concentration of Hiroshima peace trees outside Japan itself. Between 2019 and 2024, to mark the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, ginkgos, persimmons, camphors, and camellias grown from hibakujumoku seed were planted across the state, the same species that regrew from blackened stumps in 1946, now putting down roots 8,000 miles away. In May of 2025, one of these trees was planted at the United Nations headquarters in New York, in a ceremony attended by the President of the UN General Assembly, the UN's High Representative for Disarmament Affairs, and Japan's ambassador to the United Nations. A tree that started as a seed from a scorched stump in Hiroshima now grows on the grounds of the organization, built specifically to prevent the next one. Each seedling sent out through this program comes with a small card noting its parentage, which tree it came from, and how close that tree stood to the blast. Students and visitors who walk past one of these trees aren't just walking past a tree, they're standing next to something that was there. Today, the Peace Memorial Park is full of shade. People eat lunch under trees that, according to the science available in 1945, should not exist. Tourists photograph them without always knowing what they're looking at. Locals walk past them every day. These trees didn't just outlast a nuclear weapon. They became something people now travel across the world to stand beneath, take a cutting from, and plant somewhere else entirely. Carrying the story forward one seedling at a time, from Hiroshima to Oregon to a garden outside the UN General Assembly. If a tree can survive the single most destructive weapon humans have ever detonated on a city, it's worth asking what we're doing to the ones that never had to face anything close to that. If this story stuck with you, subscribe. Every week we dig up another real tree and forest story like this one, and you won't want to miss the next one.